Hello, my name is Admiral Rachel Levine, and I have the honor of being the Assistant Secretary for Health at the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Happy Pride! Happy Pride Month, and actually, let's declare it a summer of pride. Happy Summer of Pride. It's so important to have Pride as a celebration for our LGBTQI+ community and to recognize how far we have come, but also how much work we have left to do. So I am so excited to be here with Ryan Cassata to talk about Pride, about our community. And so first, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, Ryan, and all the fantastic work that you're doing.
Great. Thank you, Admiral Levine. My name is Ryan Cassata. I use he, him pronouns, and I like to share my pronouns first before I start any conversation. And I am a singer-songwriter and a transgender activist. I play a lot of protest songs to help the transgender liberation movement. And I started my activism when I was 13 years old after getting bullied pretty severely in middle school when I first came out. And from there on, I joined the Safe Schools team through the LGBT network on Long Island, where I grew up. And that is where I learned to publicly speak and also learned the education that I needed to be able to go into schools and conferences to carry the message.
Well, thank you so much for being such a role model and a voice for the trans community. We were talking before about your songs and how they give a message of hope and compassion, but also protest. How do you mix all that together?
I think it naturally mixes together. As a trans person, as a trans man, I know that my body is politicized, my identity is politicized right now, especially with all of the anti-trans legislation and bills that are happening right now in our community and our country. And it just naturally flows because the thing that I am most passionate about is helping the transgender community to freedom, really, and that comes through often in my music.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, we just had Pride at the White House and DC Pride this weekend here, and the President and the First Lady spoke so eloquently about their support for the broader LGBTQI+ community, but particularly for the transgender community, trans youth, their families, their providers. And so, you know, you talked about the challenges that we have in many states across the country for political purposes. What are your thoughts about that?
I think right now it is more difficult than ever to be trans because of this legislation. And I know, I hear it from trans youth every single day, multiple people, that they are struggling because of the legislation, because of the media, the news. And we need to do everything we can right now so that trans youth can access the care that they need and they deserve. I know that this is life-saving care that is on the line. Absolutely.
So, you know, let's talk for a moment about the trans health care that our community needs and transgender medicine and gender-affirming care. I mean, that term is important, although our opponents have weaponized it. What are your thoughts about the importance of gender-affirming care for trans youth in our community?
I would say that it's life-saving care. It's not just affirming, it's life-saving. I'm 29 years old now, and when I was 14 years old, I knew that I needed top surgery in order to continue living, really. I was extremely depressed. My mental health was suffering extreme, and I had to wait until I was 18 to get my surgery, and I was still a teenager when I got my top surgery, which is now a very long time ago, and I have not had one single regret. And that surgery, it saved my life. On the other side of that surgery, I had a lot more confidence, and just even in my posture, you could see it, and I was smiling more, and the people around me noticed a change as well. Life got brighter and more hopeful for me after that surgery. So that saved my life, really.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. We really appreciate it. It is so important. Transgender medicine is so important to our community. Tell us more about your thoughts about the importance of gender-affirming care and the challenges that we face across the country.
Yes, I think the states that are banning gender-affirming care, I know a lot of them are going until age 26.
Right.
And that is much too long to wait. I could barely wait until I was 18 to get my life-saving surgery. And I can't imagine waiting till age 26. I can't imagine waiting at all. For most people, waiting is not a possibility. And that is really a threat to someone's life.
You know, it's such an important issue for our youth and adults. As you said, some of these laws are actually extending into adulthood. You know, we often say that gender-affirming care is health care, gender-affirming care is mental health care, and gender-affirming care is literally suicide prevention care. Would that be your view as well?
I 100% agree. And I know statistically speaking that the regret rate for gender-affirming surgery is about 1%, and that is significantly lower than the regret rate for general surgery like a knee replacement. And that is something that needs to be part of the conversation because the regret rate is so low.
You know, I think it's such an important point, and I think that, you know, studies show that youth that have access to evidence-based gender-affirming care, who have the support of their families and their community, have actually excellent mental health outcomes. And much of this gender-affirming care is being done by our outstanding children's hospitals throughout the country.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the mental health of trans youth and trans adults and mental health for our community. What do you see as you travel around the country on your tours and singing? What do you see the challenges for the mental health of our youth?
I hear almost at every single show I play, I have trans youth, teenagers coming up to me telling me that my music saved their life. If they didn't hear this song or that song, they didn't know how they were going to make it through the school year because they're being bullied at school, they're being bullied at home, and they're being bullied by the people introducing these bills.
Right. You know, we know that the youth, LGBTQI+ youth and trans youth have higher rates of depression and anxiety, but it's really important to emphasize that there's nothing inherent with being on the rainbow that would predispose someone to those mental health challenges. It is the bullying that you're talking about, the harassment, the discrimination that the youth and adults face, which leads to those mental health challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those mental health challenges, even in some states now, are including bathroom bills. And what is your experience since you travel all around the country? Why is that so difficult?
As a transgender person, the bathrooms are the most scary place to be. It is where I am the most concerned for my safety, and that is because I've been kicked out of bathrooms, harassed. I've experienced a lot of violence as well just for being visibly trans, and a lot of that takes place in bathrooms. So it's violence towards transgender people. It's not us being violent. I'm going in the bathroom trying to be as quiet as I can, as small as I can. I don't want anyone to notice me. I want to be in and out as quickly as I possibly can for my safety. And I hear that from people all over the country. And the solution to that is more gender-neutral bathrooms. That's when I see a gender-neutral bathroom, I'm like, okay, I will be okay. I'll get through this.
Well, you know, trans people are human beings, and we have the same needs of any other human being. So thank you for sharing that part of your story. What I'm so impressed with your work and your singing is the joy that you express, and the joy of living and the joy of being part of our community. And you had promised to maybe share one of your songs. So if you would, could you share, you know, a little bit of one of your songs?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Drink some water first.
Absolutely.
Okay, I usually sing with my guitar. So my song, Hold On, You Belong, I wrote it last year, just a few days before the Transgender Day of Visibility. And last year, too, we saw a lot of anti-trans legislation. This year, there's more than last year, I believe. And this song, it has become my anthem, and it talks about my experience growing up trans and doing my activism work, going on Larry King when I was 15 years old, and doing my speaking to educate the masses. And the second verse of the song is what I want to sing, because that is where I am talking to trans youth and telling them to hold on. And the song is called Hold On, You Belong, People Like Us. They said, come share your story. Come on, say one thing that you wish you knew. All the wisdom from you nowadays, from the marches and the pride parades. But have you seen the news? How did you make it? How'd you stay so patient when the laws attack? What about this legislation? Will my family embrace it? Will they have my back? Hold on, you belong, you belong. I once was scared like you. And the going, it gets easier the longer you stay true. It's just something people like us get used to. It's just something you're gonna have to get used to. Hold on.
Well, thank you so much. That was just great.
Thank you.
It's so inspiring, and it really resonates so much to me, and I'm sure to everyone else in our community, but then all of our whole Rainbow family, and then all of our allies and our families. So thank you so much. It really has a message of hope, but it does highlight the challenges that our community faces now in many states with the laws and actions that they're taking. So it's so timely and so meaningful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. You were talking a little bit with me about some of the musical influences that you've had and how you're able to bring that message of joy and hope, but then protest. Tell me about that.
Yeah, one of my biggest inspirations is Bruce Springsteen, and I grew up on Long Island, so I like a lot of the East Coast music, classic rock, Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel, and I love Sam Cooke as well, and I can just hear the civil rights movement in his songs, and that really inspires me a lot as an activist.
Absolutely. Well, you're music to my ears, so to speak, because of course Billy Joel and Bruce Springsteen and others are part of my generation's music. But we had a lot to say, and you have a lot to say. So pride to me means hope. And change. And I think that our community needs hope, and you bring hope to our community. Our president and vice president and our administration bring hope to our community. What does pride mean to you?
Pride is still a protest to me. We are still actively protesting, and while it is still a protest, it is also a celebration of our authenticity and who we are as individuals. I think that our community is so beautiful and vibrant, and honestly, seeing all of the young people being themselves, that is what makes my Pride Month, and that gives me hope, and that gives me motivation and inspiration to keep going and keep doing what I am doing. And go around all Pride Month and visit as many cities as I can so I can meet those trans youth and queer youth.
Absolutely. Well, I've just extended your tour because it's a summer of Pride.
Yes.
Well, you know, our young people give us hope, and you give me hope.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Ryan Cassata, for being here today. What a moving experience. Your singing was just outstanding and exquisite. And so, you know, we have our Pride Month. We have our Summer of Pride, which brings hope to our community. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.